start our new sugya over here. This is a section of the Talmud in tractate Baba Kama. Let me give a few words of introduction first. Let me explain what a sugya is. A sugya is a subject, a section, a topic of the Talmud that discusses a particular topic, a particular set of laws from A to Z. And to have been able to study an entire sugya is a great thing when speaking Talmud. I said this is a sugya in Baba Kama. Baba Kama is a tractate among many other tractates. Generally speaking, in the Mishnah, which is the original book of oral tradition, of Jewish law, from where all the Jewish law, all the oral tradition is coming out, the Mishnah has 60 tractates. And on most tractates, not on every single tractate, but on most tractates, there is a Talmud, a Gemara, that comes and explains the tractate, the Mishnah. You'll see typically a Gemara is a Mishnah, a quote from a Mishnah, and then the Gemara goes on to explain that particular Mishnah. This is what we have done. The previous sugya, it was one Mishnah in Baba Metzia, and then we have completed a sugya that was based on that particular Mishnah. I said 60 tractates, but if you want to divide them into sections, into topics, as you know, oral tradition is divided into 6 sections, known as Sdarim, Seder Moed, the holidays, Seder Zra'im, laws of agriculture, Seder Nashim, women, an entire section dealing with laws corresponding to women, marriage, divorce, ketubah, etc., etc. And Nezikin, which are monetary issues, damages, literally damages, anything that has to do with monetary law, which is one of the most interesting and complex part of the Talmud. And this is what... Kedoshim, very good. Kedoshim is one of them, which means the holy offerings, Taharat, the laws of purity. We covered all of them. Yeah. So Nezikin is the one that I chose for last sugya, and that I'm choosing for this one. This is a typical Talmud. Not that the other ones are not typical Talmud, but I hope this will be of interest to you. The beginning of Nezikin begins with 3 tractates: Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Batra, or Basra. Okay? Which means the first gate, the middle gate, and the third gate. It says that originally those 3 tractates were part of one single tractate known as the Tractate of Nezikin, but eventually it was too much to absorb at once, so they subdivided that tractate into 3 sub-tractates. Today they are considered clearly 3 separate tractates, and each one deals with a different domain in monetary laws, in damages, and on and on. So this is Baba Kama. Baba Kama, you will see, deals with damages, with liability. And we're going to start with the very first Mishnah and the first Gemara. Today we're going to learn the Mishnah only, I guess. But the first Gemara that is based on the first Mishnah. And I want to, before we start and read, we're going to read it in Hebrew and right away in English. We're going to translate. If you have any questions, please feel free. But before we begin the Mishnah and the actual topic, I want to make a few points connected to the Mishnah as an introduction to this to this sugya. First of all, it all begins from the Torah. Torah gives us, in Mishpatim, Parashat Mishpatim, set of laws that we are liable for any damages, not only that we have done directly, meaning, let's say, if I broke something, obviously I'm liable and I have to pay. But even if my property damaged, caused any types of damage to another fellow, I am responsible, I am liable to pay and reimburse the damages. So, there is a concept of me, my goof, the body of the person being the mazik, being the one who caused the damage, whether it was intentionally or it was unintentionally. It's irrelevant. I mean, it is relevant, but in terms of payment, you would be liable, responsible to pay and to reimburse the damage if you have caused the damage, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally. What we are dealing primarily in Baba Kama is mamonohizik. Your mammon, your property, your money. Mammon is money or possessions or property. Caused the damage. For example, you own an ox, or you own a dog. Let's speak today. In our modern days, you own a dog, and the dog goes and eats. We're speaking about blueberries before. Eats blueberries from a garden that belongs to someone else. Do you have to pay? You didn't eat. You didn't steal. You didn't damage. It is your dog. It is your ox. It is your belongings. It is your property that caused the damage. And the answer is, sure, you are liable. You are responsible to pay. Even when mamonohizik, even when it is only the possession, your possession that caused the damage, and because, the reason as you would guess it, shmiratan alecha, you are responsible to safeguard and to ensure that your property will not cause any damages to someone else. So if it did, you will have to reimburse. Meaning that there are few types of possessions that you own that will cause damages and you will be liable. And it will be interesting actually to analyze the example you just mentioned, under which category this would belong. But yes, any possessions that you own, I would say most possessions, in most cases, you would be liable. So, this is point number one, first introduction. Point number two. There are different types of possessions, different types of things that you own that can cause damages. The Mishnah will list the different types of possessions, and it will explain soon that any and every types of those possessions that you own that may have caused or will cause damages, you will be liable to pay for them. It isn't just one time. Your possessions that have caused any damages, you're liable to pay. The Torah gives us few different types of properties, of possessions that we own, that if any of those types have caused damages, you will be liable to pay.
What are the nature of those possessions?
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Exactly. This is exactly the Mishnah of today. Okay? You have to remember that there is avot and tuldot. We are going to discuss the avot. Eventually the Talmud is going to discuss also the tuldot. What are avot? Literally fathers, parents, tuldot, offspring.
Oh, okay.
Let's take an example for Shabbat. In Shabbat you have 39 avot melachot. You have 39 parents of types of work. And then you have toldot, you have children, you have offsprings, you have many other types of work which are also forbidden, that are branches that evolves and belong to one particular to one particular category. For example, on Shabbat, an av, melacha, you're not allowed to transfer from the public domain to the private domain, or from the private domain to the public domain. Meaning to carry physically, you lift the object from the private domain, you transfer it into the public domain, and you place it into the public domain. That's an of melacha. That's apparent, because that is written clearly in the Torah. What if you throw the object? In the Torah it doesn't say throwing, the Torah says carrying. Transferring, by carrying, by lifting the object physically in your hand. What if you throw the ball from your private domain to the public domain? You're also chayav. It is considered a tulda. It is an offspring, it is a child, it is a branch of hotzah. Okay? So you have avot and tuldot. So too, here in Nezikin, you have avot and tuldot. You have the av Nezikin, which are written in the Torah, and there is four types, four av, four parent, four types, four categories of possessions that we own that can cause damages. And then we have many other tuldot, including one that Liora just mentioned, and we will be eventually in the future analyzing them, trying to find out, maybe becoming creative and thinking a possible story to which av would that belong. Alright, so I invite you to begin on page 2A1, so the very first page that you have, chapter 1, and we're going to study right now the Mishnah. The Mishnah, remember, is very important because each and every word of a Mishnah is so precise. It is that precise that you can have dozens and dozens of pages in the Gemara, in the Talmud, that will explain one Mishnah, or one line of the Mishnah. So it begins a Mishnah, the Gemara begins a quote, quotes the beginning, goes on 10 pages, good, we found out what those few little words mean, quotes another few words, another 10 pages, good, we understood, and on until you finish an entire Mishnah. Right now we are going to learn to concentrate the Mishnah in its original form. Arba'a avot nezikin. There are 4 primary damagers. Let's take a look on footnote 1. Primary damager, or av, literally father damager, is the Mishnah's term for any mazik, for any damager specifically mentioned in the Torah. Each primary damager represents a category possessing its own unique defining characteristics, and all other cases of damage not specifically addressed by the Torah can be classified as belonging to one of these primary categories. What are they? First one, hashor, the ox. Back on top. The ox, meaning someone who was negligent in watching his ox, and the ox went out and caused the damage. Now the Talmud will discuss what type of damage has been caused by the ox? Or more accurately, what part of the ox caused the damage? When you say the ox, with his horn, with his foot, with his teeth, with his body, many types of damages that can be caused by an ox. So the Gemara will discuss what do we mean here when you say shah, when we say ox. For now, let's leave that for the Talmud. We only know for now the ox, that's the first category. When you say an ox, that includes any other animals, by the way. The ox is mentioned here because it is the source of the Torah. Ki yigach shor, the Torah speaks about an ox. And if you ask why the Torah speaks about an ox, because that was a very common type of animal in those days that people owned, and that can also cause, in any case, if that is being caused by an ox or by any other type of animal, person is liable and will have to reimburse, will have to pay the damages. Second, vehabor, the pit. The pit, meaning someone dug or uncovered a pit. And another person's animal fell and got hurt or got killed into that pit.
So it's caused by the animal, the pit? Or
No,
just
by the pit.
anyone?
So you dug a pit.
Okay, so there's a pit.
And then someone's animal fell down. This is the original case in the Torah. Fell down in the pit, got killed or got injured.
Okay, so it generalizes to you did some sort of change in the environment and somebody or something hurt themselves as a result of that.
Well said, well put. You're trying to analyze the definition of that particular category.
And make it relevant to
Make
today.
it relevant. Very good, very good. We'll see that. We'll see that if there is. We'll see eventually if there are any other details that we can add to that. But well said, well said.
Thank you.
Third, veha mav'eh, and the mav'eh. Right, the mav'eh. That's the translation here in English. And the mav'eh. What is mav'eh? We don't know. Rashi tells us, mav'eh. The Gemara will explain what it is. Let me just giving you a head start in case you are very curious. There is an argument between two great sages of the Talmud, Rav and Shmuel. What is mav'eh?
Isn't Maveh the bad guy?
Mav'eh is a term that could mean, as Liora said, the bad guy. I mean, he became bad because he hurt someone, but he may not be necessarily a bad guy. He's a guy, a person. According to one opinion, Maveh ze Adam. Maveh is a person that caused the damage. The other opinion says Maveh ze Hashem. Maveh is the teeth of the ox. Teeth. A damage that was caused by the teeth or by what the teeth can be defined with. Let's leave it aside for now. But according to that opinion, the second one, teeth, it would mean that shor doesn't include any part of the ox. You see that maveh is a different category and it is the teeth of the animal. So shor must be a different part. Before I took, for a reason, the example of the keren, of the horn of the ox, because that is primarily what it means when it says shor. Mav'eh, according to the second opinion, it is also ox, but the teeth of the ox.
Agreed.
We'll see. There could be a damage that comes from the horn, there could be a damage that comes from the teeth. Okay? In any case, Mav'eh, for now, we don't know. We only mentioned that the Talmud will eventually discuss that, and there are two opinions what mave means. Fourth type of damage, of damager, the hevel, and the fire. Fire is simple. Someone was negligent in safeguarding a fire that he started a barbecue, you started a bonfire on Lag BaOmer or any other time. When are you doing fire? It's
He didn't service his furnace.
right. Exactly. That's another way. And then you were negligent. The person was negligent, and the fire caused the damage into someone else's property. Now you could say these are four types. Okay, mave. Let's not analyze mave because we'll leave that for the Talmud later on. But you have an ox. This is an animal. You have a pit. This is different. You dug a hole, a pit, and someone's animal fell into it. It's a different type of damage caused by your extension. And the third one is fire, or the fourth one is fire. You started a fire, and then you didn't do anything. It's your fire that went and burned someone else, but it was due to your negligence, and therefore you are responsible for it. Okay? These are avot, these are parents, these are the original form of damagers that the Torah clearly lists in the Torah, in the Bible.
Rabbi, I have a question. What if your ox caused damage in spite of the fact that you weren't negligent? Are you liable?
Very good.
And the same with it follows through.
Very good. Very good. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
We'll discuss that. Yeah, in some cases, depending on what do you mean, despite your negligence, you'd be right that a person will be potter or be exempt. Yes.
Okay.
Here we're talking that it was due to a person's negligence.
Okay.
But you have to define what is despite your negligence.
Yeah.
That's been discussed in the Talmud as well. Now, here's a question for you. The Torah lists four types of damagers. We know how the Torah is so careful with its words. The Torah didn't list 10 types. The Torah didn't list 30, although you can find 30. If you want, you can find many different types of damagers. Why didn't the Torah, for example, say, an ox and a horse? Why didn't the Torah say another special verse that if your horse hurts someone else's horse, you chayav? Why the Torah didn't say that? Well, that would be a fifth one, yeah? The ox and the horse and the wolf. I mean, we don't own wolf, but...
Do they just say the ox as like your animal? Or no?
Very good. Very good. The ox, meaning the animal. So that's enough. In other words, what you're saying is, you don't need to repeat another verse and say the horse, because the horse can be derived from the ox. The Torah tells you, when your ox is going to hurt someone else's animal, you'll be liable. You derive from that. It doesn't matter if it's an ox, if it's a horse, if it's a dog, it doesn't matter. If it's your animal, similar as the ox, the similar thing, similar case, you'll still be liable. Right? So why does the Torah find it necessary to mention the pig?
It's different. Like a different characteristic. It's not a living thing. It's more like... It's more passive, in a way.
Very
What
good.
intrigues me mostly is
Well,
that
yeah.
it doesn't mention your slave or your children or you. It mentions external things or creations of a human being. In the case of the pit, it's an intellectual creation.
Good. Very good. Very good.
But it doesn't mention.
Unless we say that Mave is the Adam.
Exactly, we'll get there.
But if it isn't the Adam, then you're right. Then in this Mishnah, we are not speaking about a person causing a damage himself. We are speaking about his own possessions and extensions and involvements, but not him directly. Let's go back. We have 4 of them. 4 of them because the Torah mentioned 4 of them. So I ask, why did the Torah find it necessary to say Shor, and Bo, and Mave, and Heaven? Say just one. So Gabi said a good logic, and this is what we are going to analyze right now in the Mishnah. We have to say that if the Torah would have write only one damager, you wouldn't necessarily on your own apply that the same thing is true for another type of damager. We have to find logics, we have to find stringencies in each one of them. Meaning, if I find a characteristic within Shor, which is a stringency over the other ones, meaning, a logic that will tell me like this. When an ox is causing damage, obviously you're liable. Because such and such a logic. But that doesn't mean that you would be liable in the pit, because that characteristic that exists in the Shor does not exist in the pit. And perhaps the reason why you're liable in the Shor is because of that very specific characteristic that exists in the Shor. And if that's the case, since it does not exist in the pit, who says I'm liable? And vice versa now. You have to find a stringency that exists in the pit that doesn't exist in the Shor. And say like this, well, if it would have said Bob, for sure you're liable, because that characteristic exists over there. This characteristic does not exist in the Shor. So I would say perhaps, if the Torah would have taught me only pit, I would say perhaps, why does the Torah say that you're liable for pit? Because of this specific characteristic that exists in the pit. Since that does not exist in the Shor, I would say you're exempt, you're not liable. And then the other ones too. Then we'll have to find out, in other words, what if the Torah would have taught 2 of them? Could you learn out the other ones? What if the Torah would have taught 3 of them? Do you understand here where we are going? We have to find several logics to explain why the Torah had to tell me all those 4. Because if the Torah would have taught me only 1, only 2, only 3, I wouldn't, on my own, apply the same liability for the other type of damager. Once the Torah taught me all those 4, these are the 4 main types of damagers, avot. Now we can learn any type of damager that resemble to all those 4 avot. Let me take a look in the text over here. Footnote 6. The Mishnah will contrast the various damagers with one another. By doing so, the Mishnah means to answer the following question. Why was it necessary for the Torah to separately mention liability for each of the 4 damagers? Seemingly, The Torah could have mentioned only one or some of these damagers, and liability for the others could have been derived from those stated. The Mishnah answers that each of the damagers possesses a unique, stringent feature, the presence of which could have been thought to be essential for liability. Thus, had the Torah stated liability for only one of the damagers, let's say like Shah, it would not have been known that the owner is liable for the other damagers as well. Pit, mave, fire. And why? Because which do not possess this stringent feature. And vice versa. I'll find, if the Torah would have taught me only Ba, I'll find a stringent feature that exists in Ba that doesn't exist in the other one, and I'll say, oh, this is why you're liable for pit. And if that's why, the other ones don't have this feature, you're not liable. And if the Torah would have taught me fire, I'd say, you know why fire? Because it has this feature, this stringent feature, that does not exist in the others. So that's why you're liable here. But the other ones, you're not liable. And if the Torah would have taught me, let's say, ox and mave, I'd say, because ox and mave have something in common, a feature that only those two have. So that's why you're liable, but the other ones don't. You're not liable. So you need to teach the other one. And vice versa. And then we'll have to play around, logically speaking, to see which feature exists and is unique by each one of those four types of damagers.
So the Torah is naming just enough of what? Of liability for a human being to be able to derive from those the other implicated liabilities.
Whoa, what that was it.
That's very precise.
If we were in yeshiva now,
I'm a
would-
post-secondary
I would-
professor.
top summary. Very good. Exactly that. Well, you said it so well
What was I saying?
that I know you got it. You said it so well.
You want to hear it
Yeah,
again?
I do kind of want to hear it.
Okay, let's see now.
Compliment.
Lo hare asho kahare amave. The ox is not like the mave, meaning there is a stringent feature in the ox that does not exist in the mave. Velo hare amave kahare asho. And the mave is not like the ox. Meaning there is a stringent, vice versa, there is a stringent feature in the mave that does not exist in the ox. Footnote 7, that is, the ox possesses a stringent characteristic not present in the mave. Therefore, had the Torah written only that one is liable for damage inflicted by the ox, it could not have been derived that one is liable for damage inflicted by mave as well. Conversely, mave possesses a stringent feature not found in the ox. Hence, had the Torah taught liability for mave, we would have been unable to deduce liability for ox. Now, if you want to know what are those features that exist, that is unique to Shor and that is unique to Maveh, that's why we need the Talmud. The Mishnah does not mention them. The Mishnah just tells you that there is a feature that exists in the Shor that does not exist in the Maveh. And there is one in the Maveh that does not exist in the Shor. So now we understand why the Torah had to teach me both Shor and Maveh. What is Maveh? We don't know. What are those features? We also don't know. Now, now you know why you need a Talmud. Imagine there was no Talmud, and you would be learning just the Mishnah. You have no idea what it means. We have no idea what it means, right? That's exactly what the Talmud is going to discuss. To reveal to us what is exactly Shor, first of all. What is exactly Mave, second. And now that you know and you have defined what is the damager of Shor, what is the damager of Mave, now let me tell you, says the Talmud, there is a feature that exists in Shor which I could have said, if the Torah would have only right Shor, I could have said, you know why you're liable? Because of that feature. And this feature does not exist in any other. And if so, I would not derive anything from Shor. I would say only ox, only animals, but not pig, not fire, not mave. And vice versa. Mave, whatever that means, one will find out, there is a feature that exists there that does not exist in any other. And if the Torah would have said, Mave you chayav, Mave you liable, I'd say, no, Mave you liable, because of that feature. Mave, it's very bad. I will see you liable, but the other ones don't have that. Maybe you're not liable. Okay? So the exact nature of the stringencies of ox and Mave vis-a-vis each other will be discussed by the Gemara below. Okay? Let's go back inside of the Mishnah. Velo ze vaze sheyesh bahen ruach chaim. And neither this nor this, meaning the ox and the mave, the first two that we just listed in the previous line, these two, Shor and mave, which are living things, Kaharei eish she'en bo ruach chaim, are like the fire which is not a living thing. Neither of this and this are like fire which is not a living thing. Meaning, here the Gemara reveals us, the Mishnah reveals us, a stringency, a stringent feature that exists in Shor and Mave. And the Mishnah says like this. Now, you told me Shor has something special that Mave doesn't have. Mave has something special that Shor doesn't have. So therefore, you need to write the two of them. So let's write the two of them. Shor and Mave. Why would that not be enough? So the Mishnah continues. Because if you had Shor and Mave, there is a feature that exists in the two of them that does not exist in a third one, which is H, which is fire. And the Mishnah tells us what is the stringency here. These two things, Shor and Mave, are living things. H is not a living thing.
Why doesn't it include the pit, the boar? As not a living thing.
Very good question. Very good question.
All questions are good.
You're right. You could, the Mishnah could have said, and that includes really both too. But we don't need to mention both. In other words,
Okay, we get it.
once you're already saying that Esh would not be able to derive, so it is already a reason why those two are not enough. You're right that not only Esha couldn't learn that, but for the very same reason, Bo also wouldn't be able to derive from those two. Because Shor and Mave are living things, and Bo is not a living thing. Just like Eish is not a living thing. But the fact that Eish cannot be derived from those two is already a reason why those two are insufficient.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
The Mishnah just mentioned there are living things, these one are not living things. So what? So what if those one are living things, those one are not living things? The Gemara will explain that. Okay? But at least we know the title of that stringent feature that exists in Shor and Mav'eh. It is living things. And I could have said, you know what? Because they are living things, therefore you're liable. Any other things, such as fire, parentheses, and bar, which is not living things, which are not living things, I wouldn't say you're liable. Now, if that's the case, so maybe let's put Shor, let's write Shor, Maveh, and Eish. Because if the reason why you cannot learn Eish and Bar from the first two is because the first two are living things, and Eish is not a living thing, and so too Bar is not a living thing. If you have the first three, okay, you have two that are living things, but you have one of them who is not a living thing. So I could have said, you know what, now I can learn Bar from the first three. You'll tell me, but Shor and Maveh are living things, Bar is not a living thing. Eish is also not a living thing, and Eish is liable. So now we can learn Bar from the first three. The first two is not enough, because they are living things. But once you have the third one, Eish, which is not a living thing, maybe now we learn Bar from the first three. Now come the next line of the Mishnah, and we'll conclude with that. Velo ze v'ze shedakan leilech ulehazik. And neither this nor this. And here it means the ox, the maveh, and the fire, the first three, have something that Baal don't have. And that is, whose way is to go forth and damage. Shedakan leilech ulehazik. The first three things have a feature, and you can understand the logic on your own. They go forth and damage. The Shor go and damage. The Maveh, whatever that means, go forth and damage. The Eish also go forth and damage. The Bar stays where it is. And you know what? Yes, you uncover the Bar, you dig, you were negligent and everything. But there was another thing also. You had to have the person's animal to come to the bar and fell down. So, yeah, you're part of the damage, but you're not the only reason for the damage. There was an animal that came to the bar. In the first three things, the other one's animal stayed where it was. Your possessions, whether it's the Shor, whether it's the Maveh, whether it's the Eish, went to the other one's animal, let's say, and went forth and damaged. But the fourth one doesn't have that feature. They are not like the pit, whose way is not to go forth and damage, rather to stay where it is, and someone else came to the pit and got damaged. So I could have said, you know what? You're liable for the first three, because they go forth and damage. But the fourth one, maybe I'll say that you're not liable, you're not completely liable. It's like a partnership of a damage. You did one part, and the other guy also did his part. He went to and he fell down into the bar. You didn't went and damage and push the guy into the bar, right? You just uncovered the bar. Boom, someone fell down. This is different than the first three, right? I wouldn't on my own derive that from the first three, and that's why the Torah has to teach me bar as well. But this is not the end of the story. This is only the Mishnah. because now, and I'll let you food for the thought, think, and what if the Torah would have taught me only ba? The Mishnah didn't say what is unique about the ba that does not exist in the other three. It went like this. Shah has something unique that Mave doesn't have. Fine. Mave has something unique that Shah doesn't have. Fine. You need those two. Okay. Those two have something unique that Aish and Ba don't have. So those two are not enough. You need to teach also Aish. Those three, Shah, Mave, and Aish, have something unique that Ba don't have, and therefore you need also Ba. But wait a second. Ba only. Could you derive anything from Ba? Or Ba and Shah. Or Ba, Aish, and Shah. That we don't have in the Mishnah. We will have to eventually fill up the picture over here and find out why any combination is not enough. Any types of combination, you would still be missing something. There would always be something that cannot be derived from the other, either 1, 2, or 3. Whatever combination possible. And therefore, you need all the 4. The Mishnah only tells us part of the story. And it went from Shor, Maveh, Eish, Bo, as you can see. It didn't say every other combination. The Talmud and the Rishonim, the commentaries are filling up the picture, and it becomes very interesting to see which stringent feature exists in each and every one individually, which feature exists only in 2 of them, that the 3rd one or the 4th one could be derived. Sometimes a feature that exists in 3, or a combination of feature that exists in 3 of them, because one has this, one has that, one has this, but the 4th one has neither of all those stringency, and you wouldn't derive the 4th one from the 3rd. So then you get a full picture. Why does the Torah have to tell us all the 4? But the Torah didn't have to tell us all the 4, and as Leora summarized so well, is that now that we have all those 4, is we can apply, can derive on our own any other types of damager that will be falling down under either one of those 4 categories. But most cases, this is what's going to happen, and we'll learn that next week. There is something in common in all those 4s. And that what is in common in all those 4 is the reason why you're liable, which therefore now any damager that you can think of has that characteristic that is common in all those 4. If so, today, any other type of damager that has that feature that exists in all those 4, you would be liable for damages.
Fundamental basis of criminal law and liability.
Yes, 100%. 100%. This Mishnah and this Talmud is exactly that. Is exactly that. It will analyze every facet of liability.
Are we going to learn what Hamad is?
What is what? Hamave, yes, don't worry. Don't worry.
It sounds like it's coming.
Oh, yeah. Which are monetary issues, damages, literally damages, anything that has to do with monetary law, which is one of the most interesting and complex part of the Talmud. And this is what... Kedoshim, very good. Kedoshim is one of them, which means the holy offerings, Taharat, the laws of purity. We covered all of them.
Yeah.
So Nezikin is the one that I chose for last sugya that I'm choosing for this one. This is a typical Talmud. Not that the other ones are not typical Talmud, but I hope this will be of interest to you. The beginning of Nezikin begins with 3 tractates: Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Batra from Basra. Okay? Which means the first gate, the middle gate, and the third gate. It says that originally those 3 tractates were part of one single tractate known as start our new sugya over here. This is a section of the Talmud in tractate Baba Kama. Let me give a few words of introduction first. Let me explain what a sugya is. A sugya is a subject, a section, a topic of the Talmud that discusses a particular topic, a particular set of laws from A to Z. And to have been able to study an entire sugya is a great thing when speaking Talmud. I said this is a sugya in Baba Kama. Baba Kama is a tractate among many other tractates. Generally speaking, in the Mishnah, which is the original book of oral tradition of Jewish law, from where all the Jewish law, all the oral tradition is coming out, the Mishnah has 60 tractates. The tractate of Nezikin, but eventually it was too much to absorb at once, so they subdivided that tractate into 3 sub-tractates. Today, they are considered clearly 3 separate tractates, and each one deals with a different domain in monetary laws, in damages, and on and on. So this is Baba Kama. Baba Kama, you will see, deals with damages, with liability. And we're going to start with the very first Mishnah. And the first Gemara, today we're going to learn the Mishnah only, I guess. But the first Gemara that is based on the first Mishnah. And I want to, before we start and read, we're going to read it in Hebrew and right away in English. We're going to translate. If you have any questions, please feel free. But before we begin the Mishnah and the actual topic, I want to make a few points connected to the Mishnah as an introduction to this sugya. First of all, it all begins from the Torah. Torah gives us, in Mishpatim, Parashat Mishpatim, set of laws that we are liable for any damages, not only that we have done directly, meaning, let's say, if I broke something, obviously I'm liable, and I have to pay. But even if my property caused any types of damage to another fellow, I am responsible, I am liable to pay and reimburse the damages. So, there is a concept of my goof, the body of the person being the mazik, being the one who caused the damage, whether it was intentionally or it was unintentionally. It's irrelevant. I mean, it is relevant, but in terms of payment, you would be liable, responsible. And on most tractates, not on every single tractate, but on most tractates, there is a Talmud, a Gemara, that comes and explains the tractate, the Mishnah. You'll see typically a Gemara is a Mishnah, a quote from a Mishnah, and then the Gemara goes on to explain that particular Mishnah. This is what we have done. The previous sugya was one Mishnah in Baba Metzia, and then we have completed a sugya that was based on that particular Mishnah. I said 60 tractates, but if you want to divide them into sections, into topics, as you know, oral tradition is divided into 6 sections, known as Sdarim, Seder Moed, the holidays, Seder Zra'im, laws of agriculture, Seder Nashim, women, an entire section dealing with laws corresponding to women, marriage, divorce, ketubah, etc., etc. And Nezikin,